Don't read it out loud because we're going to review it, but look at this.
Oh, okay.
Isn't this busted?
What? What the? Oh my god.
That is busted,
I
isn't
hope
it?
I get that card. Okay, you're listening to the MTGeez Spellcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Matt.
And that's all you need to know. Okay, today we're talking about, this is like a half episode. This is just the Throne of Eldraine teaser spoiler. This is the first time I'm seeing anything from the set. Matt's seen more of it. So we're going to go through and just talk about the new mechanics that are out.
Yeah, new mechanics and a couple of the reprints. I'm really liking the Throne of Eldraine. We've gone through a couple of really serious sets as of recently, such as with War of the Spark, where, spoiler, Gideon died.
Oh no!
So, we had the death of a original Planeswalker. It's been very serious. You know, he had the war against Nicobolas. He took over Amonkhet and destroyed Amonkhet. Then he came here. It was the War of the Spark, where a lot of Planeswalkers actually died, but the most significant is Gideon. So, been very serious. And then we have the Throne of Eldraine, which is very fairy tale-like. Just as an example, one card that's in the set is called Blow Your House Down.
Oh my god.
So very fairy tale-esque, but it seems like they've had a lot of fun with it, to the point where some of the artwork in these cards look like they belong in a unstapled deck or unhinged deck.
And you know, I actually...
set. My mistake, set.
I'm already seeing one of the new frames, and I really like what they did there. It looks like it's a book.
Because that is one of the first new mechanics known as adventures.
Adventure!
So adventures are only on creatures. And what happens is, as the example that we're using for this is Animating Fairy, which costs 2 and a blue, and it's flying. It's a 2/2 for flying. Creature Fairy. Very, very basic. However, in its card description on the bottom, it looks like an open book, and on the left side, you have something called an adventure. All adventures are sorcery speed, and the adventure says Bring to Life, which is also 2 and a blue, and it says target non-creature artifact you control becomes a 0/0 artifact creature. Put 4 +1/+1 counters on it. The really cool thing about adventures is when you cast an adventure, the creature card goes into exile, and then you can cast the creature cost to cast the creature.
What? Okay, so you're saying that from your hand you can pay the 2 and a blue and play this card
cost.
and play this card as Bring to Life.
Yes.
So it's a sorcery adventure. Target non-creature artifact you control becomes a 0/0 artifact creature. Put 4 +1/+1 counters on it.
Yeah, and
so
then
you
when
do that, and then later
it resolves, it goes into exile.
And then you can pay the 2 and a blue for
and then you
Animating
can pay
Fairy.
and then you can pay the 2 and the blue for Animating Fairy and cast the fairy on, and cast the actual creature onto the field.
Neat.
Here's the drawback.
What?
If you just cast the actual creature and don't do the adventure, then you can't do the adventure.
You give up on the
adventure. The second thing, if someone counters the adventure, because the adventure is a sorcery effect, so it counts as a sorcery card. If someone counters it, card into the graveyard, doesn't resolve, and you can't cast the Animating Fairy.
True.
It's complete. The whole thing fizzles out.
You know, I have to say, not to be a downer, but normally these new mechanics will describe how exactly they work the first time that you see them, like Embalm and Eternalize and like the flip cards. They describe how you use it. There's nothing on the card that tells you how to use it. Like, I thought initially looking at it that you play the adventure after it's already been cast as a creature, but not
it's the other way. It's the other way around.
So, but that's fine as long as you learn the rule. Then you know the rule, and then you play the card without missing a beat. But it is neat.
But here's the thing. Here's the weird thing. Read right here.
Oh, okay.
On this adventure.
This one actually describes it more fully. So we have here Beanstalk Giant. It's 6 in the green. It has star for its power toughness. Beanstalk Giant's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. And it has an adventure ability. So from your hand, you can cast Fertile Footsteps for 2 in a green. Sorcery Adventure. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. And then it says in parentheses, as a reminder, then exile this card. You may cast the creature later from exile. So, the line of play here would be, and I love it, you pay 3 for Fertile Footsteps, which is basically rampant growth. And then later on, you can cast the creature, now that you've ramped a little bit. It looks like John LaRuffa got a job at Free America with me. I got him
Really?
in. Yeah.
Nice. If you need someone to do your networking.
I can't believe I affected something. That makes me feel good.
So yeah, all in all, adventures are very weird. It's a strange new mechanic. However, I like it because it's different. It's a different way to play a card, a different way to play the game. Just remember, your only drawback is if you do go for the sorcery and that gets countered, then the whole card is countered. You cannot cast the creature. You lose out on the creature as well.
Yeah, and I like that it reintroduces that fantasy flavor that Magic has been kind of losing in some capacity over the past few years with the changes they've made to the frames and a little bit to the art style. So this is like kind of returning to their roots and putting fantasy first.
Exactly.
Ooh, they also brought back the wide frame.
Yeah.
From the box toppers, the Ultimate Masters box toppers. That's awesome. I approve.
Yeah, some of the legendary, some of the artifacts look really nice too, as in like the border's different as well. Like the whole thing for this artifact is different.
That's been a thing.
I haven't seen it. I honestly
Matt. Oh, bless your heart. Okay, so the next mechanic that is added to the roster, Matt, why don't you go ahead and...
It's something called Adamant. Now, Adamant doesn't have a specific description because Adamant is described in every card. But Adamant is basically an ability on cards. It can be on sorceries, it can be on creatures, that if you spend a specific amount of a specific mana type to cast the card, you get an added effect. We're using Silver Flame Ritual as an example. 3 and a white. Sorcery, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Adamant. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast this spell, creatures you control gain vigilance until end of turn.
So, the card doesn't ask too much initially, 3 and a white, so only a quarter of the mana needs to be white to cast it. But if you have more than the 1 white, if you have 3 white, then the spell is more powerful. So, exactly. I like that. It's got a bit of a range to it.
Yeah. What I can see...
It's not too much to ask the player.
If they want to keep this as an effect that affects other cards, if it goes beyond the set, because some effects go beyond the set.
Yeah, sometimes they stick around.
I can see this entering in a way where you have, like, a white spell, and then it's like, if at least 3 blue was spent on this card.
That could be really cool.
Let's say you have a white-blue. Let's say you have a white spell.
They might not put that on a white-blue card.
I'm just saying, for future's sake, let's say you have a white spell, and then the Adamant effect is blue mana instead of white mana. Could you put that in a blue-white commander deck?
They've done things like that. I know that there are cards where it says, it'll be a monocolored, say, creature, and it'll say, say it's a blue creature, but then it says in the effect, if white was spent to cast so-and-so, then do this. So, there's a perk to putting in an additional type of color to it. But, I mean... I don't really like those kind of designs because it's not immediately apparent that you need the other color for you to cast a spell.
Exactly.
And get the most out of it. This is a little bit more linear like that, where it's like, okay, it's white, and if you put a lot of white in, it's better.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. That's nice. That's an interesting way to tweak the power level of a card, because I already like the fact that if you need to make a card a little bit harder to cast, but you don't want to make it more mana, well, you can make it more mana intensive, It's 4 mana, and it has a really good effect. It should really only cost 4 mana, but maybe instead of making it 3 and a black, you make it 1 and black, black, black. So this is kind of like that, but it actually has a range. You're not cut off from playing it before you have 3 mana, 3 white mana, but you actually get a benefit from having 3 white.
Exactly. And
I think that'll be good.
It's on instants and sorceries, and I also believe it was also on... Ah, yeah, right here. Human Knight.
Okay, let's talk about that. Embereth Paladin. For a 3 and a red, you get a 4/1 Human Knight with haste and adamant. If at least 3 red mana was spent to cast this spell, Embereth Paladin enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. I like it. I like it.
Exactly, because like you said, it makes this spell harder to cast without increasing its mana cost.
So, it's a fun idea. So now let's just take a quick second to evaluate the card as a card. Now, it's a common, so it doesn't have to be spectacular. But for 4 mana, you get a 4/1 haster. In red. That's fine, I guess.
That's mediocre.
Yeah, that's basically what you would expect.
For a common.
And then if you're if you're in mono red, he would be a 5/2 haster for 4. That actually does seem pretty cool.
It's not bad. Like I said, it makes worth casting it as a 5/2 with haste because he's a great blocker. Whatever he blocks is most likely going to die.
It definitely would matter. I don't know about standard. I mean, who's to say? I don't think that this would have much of an impact on standard, especially this particular card.
I can see this working.
But for draft, I think that'd be great.
In draft, and I can see it working in EDH as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, especially because in Commander you might have like really nice mana bases, so you're like, yeah, I could do red white and be able to produce all red or all white with the lands that I have.
Exactly.
So.
Now the last thing in this set is not really like a mechanic, but it's a new token that has been released in this set, and it's known as a food token.
Food.
Now,
well, we've had treasures, we've had clues, now we have foods.
Exactly. And why would you not want to have a feast? So food tokens are token artifacts, food. And they are they're 2 mana and tap it to sacrifice the artifact and you gain 3 life.
Okay, so clues let you draw cards, treasures let you get mana.
Life.
Well, treasures give you mana.
Oh, yeah. Treasures are mana, and
then
food
gives you life. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Now, as an additional benefit to food, not just food.
Those bananas are wacky looking.
Oh,
How do you peel that? There's a banana that looks like a corkscrew. Yeah. Holy cow.
As an added benefit to food tokens.
Yeah, how do you get these though?
Instances, artifacts.
So things that create these food tokens. Here's one. Bake into a pie. For 2 black instant, destroy target creature, create a food token.
So yeah, very simple. Kill a creature, get a token.
So murder, but it makes food.
There are some cards that use these tokens for a benefited effect, like the Gilded Goose.
Gilded Goose?
It's a green 0/2 for green. Just the singular green mana.
Singular green.
It's flying, and when Gilded Goose enters the battlefield, create a food token.
Yum!
It's got an effect where you cast 1 in a green, and you tap Gilded Goose, and you create a food token. So it continuously can create food.
Okay.
And the last thing is, you can tap the Gilded Goose to sacrifice a food, add 1 mana of any color. It is our new Birds of Paradise with an added effect.
The goose giveth and the goose taketh away. To giveth something else.
And also...
So wait, okay. I like that. It's a little food engine.
It's a little food engine.
Aren't geese food engines anyway? I mean, I will...
I would argue and say they're poop engines.
I would imagine it's... Well, oh my god. I was going to say dark meat, but you went straight to the defecation.
I went straight to the poop.
Geesification.
Now, on top of that, There is an artifact that came out in this set called the Golden Egg, which is an artifact food. It's right here. It's very strange.
All right, it has this. Okay, so it's got the food type.
It's
without
artifact.
It being its own
It's artifact food, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and you sacrifice the Golden Egg. You can add 1 mana of any color. By tapping 1 or tap 2, sacrifice the Golden Egg. You gain 3 life. So it's a stronger food.
So it's a cantrip. It's also a mana filter, or you can use it to gain life. You know what that makes me think of? Negs from Neopets.
Oh my god!
Especially the art. It's like this. What do you call them? The cabriolet eggs. I'm gonna get that wrong.
I know what you're talking about.
Fabergé eggs.
No,
I think it's Fabergé eggs.
The way it looks, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the jeweled eggs.
I think they're eggs Benedict.
No. Now you're getting me hungry.
Well, eggs is already a thing. We should get lunch. Eggs is already a thing, so I think that's cool that they gave it a name.
Exactly.
And of course, you crack eggs and you eat them. It's food.
It is food.
It is food.
Now, those are the 3 new mechanics of this set.
I'm also noticing that a lot of the equipment is colored.
Yes.
A lot of the artifacts are colored, and that's neat. Because I always, whenever I saw an artifact that had colored cost in it and was a colored spell, it always kind of tickled me pink.
Yeah, and it was unique. I liked the fact that it's different. The equipment itself defined the color a little bit more in the way it worked.
Yeah.
Now, before we sign off, there are a couple cards I want to go over real fast because they're reprints.
Yeah, you've been talking about reprints. I gotta see this. I wonder if it's relevant to me.
One of them is.
I mean, to our viewers, listeners.
Well, one of them is going to be very relevant for Commander players. I can't say much of the other ones, but one of them will be Throne of Falls.
That's the reprint.
That's one. It's one of the reprints.
Okay. Okay, that's not that.
It's a reprint of a land.
I mean, those have been reprinted a lot.
We also have the Windscarred Crag, another reprint of the Windscarred
Lifelines.
Crag. However, bam.
Okay, Command Tower. Oh, that's so strange.
I know, right?
Different art. First off, this Command Tower looks like it is
insanely awesome.
About to explode. It is like, oh man, this is cool.
But this is the first time it's been printed in a non-Commander set.
The reason why this is weird is that this has no use outside of Commander.
Exactly.
It doesn't make mana unless you actually have a Commander.
Exactly. It's so weird.
So, Commander's getting pretty big. I'm sure most people would be like, yeah, I play Commander, or, yeah, I don't play Commander, but I know people that do, and I could trade this.
Exactly.
So
that I like
awesome.
it.
I would be happy to pull a bunch of these. You know, on a more somber note, it is, it does sadden my heart a little bit when a card becomes too ubiquitous, you know, where it's just like, there is no reason not to run this in your deck.
Well, it's
like, if you have like 30 of them, you're just like, well, obviously I'm going to put this in, and it stops being special. Alright, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear about that. I'm excited about Eldraine. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the set and definitely cracking into some of this. And seeing what I could fit into, you know, Commander, Modern, whatever.
I can't wait. I'm
cool.
really excited to go over the set because there are
I like the flavor. I think it's a flavor win. I approve this flavor.
I honestly can't wait to start going through the colors, though, because there are some cards in here that really excite me.
Yeah.
That I want to look at and say how much I love it.
I can't wait to hold these cards and say I love them.
I mean, look at this.
I love you card.
There's a card where a girl is German suplexing a bear.
Oh shit!
What is that?
That bear.
That bear got old.
You don't mess with me, bear. You don't mess with my cubs.
Freaking suplex.
But I will mess with your cubs.
Alright, guys.
Alright.
We're gonna sign off with that. Just keep that in mind. Try and imagine that.
Yeah, just when you go to bed tonight, just picture a nice lady suplexing a bear.
Suplexing a bear.
And until then, peace.
Peace.
Out.